Hey guys, I want to talk a little bit about how Zone 2 is still useful for anybody, especially athletes over 50. Now, there seems to be a little bit of a swing back of the pendulum against Zone 2. And just like everything in fitness, it has its moment of 15 minutes of fame. Zone 2 training, what is it? It's slow, steady state cardio at a low percentage of your max heart rate, and has been talked about ad infinitum in the press and in any sort of fitness circles. Highly publicized by the likes of Peter Attia and Huberman Lab that you may have seen on YouTube. But now there seems to be a little bit of a pushback against that. The pendulum is swinging the other way, and there is newer research that states basically that everything that Zone 2 does, i.e. build your mitochondrial efficiency and your capillary density and your stroke volume and all of that for your heart, yes, it does all of that, but it takes a massive volume to do it and a long time, and that higher intensity training or intervals at a higher intensity can achieve all of that, but just much faster. And that is kind of missing the point, especially for those of us over 50 who are interested in longevity as much as performance. And so high intensity sessions, they're a stress signal, and they push adaptation, but they also tax your nervous system, your recovery, and yes, even your heart. And there's growing evidence that years of frequent high intensity endurance work can increase the risk of atrial fibrillation and even lead to more arterial calcification in lifelong athletes. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't train hard. It just means that you need to train a little bit harder, smarter. And that is, stuff that I've seen in research and heard about from cardiologists in what they see coming into their surgeries. And it's been borne out also by some of my clients and in what they've experienced. And some of them have been sort of high-level cyclists who have pushed the boundaries on endurance and really pushed hard with their training for many, many years. One of them has actually suffered from atrial fibrillation, whilst the other had calcification of the arteries, which is a hardening of the arteries that typically is linked to heart disease, but also can show up in elite athletes who have just pushed themselves at high intensities as an endurance athlete for long periods of time. So going back to Zone 2 and why I think it is useful. So it does what it has been promoted as doing. So it builds fitness in terms of your mitochondrial efficiency, your capillary density, the stroke volume of your heart, all of that stuff it just does it, and it takes a little bit longer to achieve its outcome. But it does it not at the expense of your autonomic nervous system, your recovery, or even, as I said earlier, your heart. And so for me, I do a mixture of 3 different types of training. So there's Zone 2 training, which we've just spoken about. I do threshold training, which I'll come back to, and VO2 max intervals. Now, so we've already spoken about Zone 2. Threshold training is training on or around just below your anaerobic threshold, which is something you can find out from your VO2 max test. And then VO2 max intervals, which are going to be more like 90 to 95% of your max heart rate, and doing shorter intervals where you really spike the heart rate, bring it back down in a recovery, spike the heart rate, so over a number of intervals to try and boost your VO2 max score or the size of your aerobic engine. So if you're over 40 or even 50 like I am, yes, your mitochondria love intensity and your short-term fitness gains will be boosted by high intensity, shorter intervals, but your future self and your health and your longevity would be much happier if you took a more patient approach, a smarter approach, and combined the benefits of training Zone 2, threshold training, and VO2 max training or higher intensity intervals.